Hello everyone! I'm going to show you all how to do a back post double crochet. And so this is a little piece here that I have done of a back post double crochet going just all the way across multiple stitches. So if you watched my other video on a front post double crochet, I had mentioned how it may not be very common to do a whole bunch like this in a pattern. But for the sake of just learning how to do the stitch, I had designed this little practice swatch so that you can get the technique figured out and have a better idea of how the stitch works and get very comfortable with it if it does come up in a pattern. So you can at least know and have that muscle memory and have an idea of being like, oh yeah, I totally did this before, or it seems familiar. So, and it does look very much like the front post double crochet. So when we were doing the front post one, this is what it looks like when it's facing you and you're doing your front posts. And then on the back, you're getting that line. But when you're doing the back post, you have those lines when you're working the back post. They start popping up in front of you when you're doing that stitch. So it'll make sense as we go along, and it'll make more sense the more you practice and see the difference. So we'll get started on doing our back post double crochets. I have my acrylic yarn here. I'm using a 4-weight. And I have an H hook. So whatever hook you're using, make sure it matches your yarn choice that you're using. So we're going to be doing a slip knot, and then we'll be chaining. So if you don't know how to do any of that, check out my beginner playlist for crochet. I cover how to do all of those things in that video, and this is a little more advanced, so I would recommend doing those first before doing this one, just because we cover double crochet and all that stuff, so you want to make sure you know how to do that. So we're going to chain 24. Alright, I have my 24 chains. Make sure you counted that you do have 24 chains as well. That'll keep you in line with my stitch count, so it'll make this tutorial a lot easier if you're on the same page as me. So now what we're going to do is we're going to double crochet in the 4th chain from the hook. So we don't count this one. So we count 1, 2, 3, and 4. So you'll do your double crochet in the 4th chain. So if you've watched my other tutorial on the front post, it's very, very similar when you start out with doing this double crochets for one row, and then you'll do the post in the second row or the next row. I just finished working all my double crochets all the way across. You should have 21 by the time you're to the end, so make sure you have that. We skipped a bunch of these because they became our chain at the front, so you should be getting that stitch count. Alright, now we're going to do our chain 3 and turning, and just like the other one, now we're going to start working our post stitches. So in the other one, to do a front post, you go through the front of that double crochet, but now, and I find this to be a little tricky in the beginning, is you come from behind that same stitch that we worked through when we're doing the other one. You do it from behind, even though it sounds like you're working in the front. So you're coming up from behind. So I'll slow that down a little bit for you guys. So you're yarning over like you double crochet, and then you're looking for that little hole right here between your double crochets to come in front of this one. So come in, you'll kind of go in front of it, grab, pull through. It's kind of tricky there. That's where I think is the hardest, is trying to pull through and get your hook back set up. And then you yarn over, and pull through 2, and pull through 2. So we'll walk through that again. You'll yarn over, come up between the next one. So that's our next one right here. So we'll want to put our hook over it into that other side. Grab and pull through all the way. So as you start working these, that's why I said it'll look backwards, is the line here is starting to show up. So like this is what it will start looking in front of you when you're working your post, whereas when you were working your other way, they were popping up behind. So that's why it's called a back post, because you're working through the back of the post. So one more time, I'll walk it through with you guys. So you yarn over, you're coming up between the two. You'll go over, grab, and you're pulling through right in front of that post. I feel like that's the hardest part right there. Try not to get yourself all twisted. So yeah, gets your practice in. This is why I wanted to have a swatch for you guys, because these can be kind of awkward when you're not used to working your hook in these weird ways. So you're going to do that all the way across for each one, including the one on the end here. That one counts as well. So sometimes when I'm working these back post double crochets, it can be kind of tricky, like I was showing, where you're trying to do all these. Sometimes what I'll just find myself doing is I'll kind of like just pop it and watch it from behind here to make sure I'm grabbing that stitch and grabbing and then pulling it that way. That works a little better for you, because I know it can be a little tricky trying to understand the concept by the way I'm showing it. So just yarning over, popping it through, but looking through the back here to see where my hook is supposed to poke back through. That's one way to try it as well, because I work it that way personally. I just was trying to make it so you guys could understand. So if that works better for you guys, I won't judge, because I do it too. Alright, I just finished doing all of my back post double crochets all the way across. And like I said, that line is where you'll start seeing pop up as you work each one of those. So make sure to count your stitches on top here. You should still have 21. Nothing should have changed. We didn't increase or decrease. So now we're going to chain 3 and turn. And this is our double crochet row. So you'll skip this first one because the chain 3 will count as your double crochet. And you'll just double crochet in that next one, or double crochet all the way across. Alright, I've been working all my double crochets here. I'm coming down on my last 2 stitches, and I wanted to show you guys because it can be kind of tricky to be able to tell these. You can see this one right here, and that'll be our double crochet. But then we might forget about our chain, which has been a double crochet as well. So I'll do a double crochet in the top of this chain right here, this little top loop I'll work into. And after those 2 stitches, you should have a stitch count all the way across, and you should have 21 stitches. So now we'll do our chain 3 again. And this is where you'll work your back post double crochet again. So every time you see this, you'll know that you'll be doing your back post double crochet, as long as you're doing your switching between the double crochet and then the back post double crochet. So you can keep doing that as long as you want this to be. I mean, this is just a practice, and you could even make something out of it if you want. Hopefully this was helpful in distinguishing from the front post and the back post. And like I've said in the other video, and I'm sure I said it in this one, you most likely are not going to be doing a pattern that has it like this. This is just a practice, just to get a feel, because it is a very awkward stitch, and it's just nice to kind of get that practice in, so that if it does come up in a pattern, you usually only use it for a couple parts of it. Or at least in my case, I've only had to use it a couple times, and then it's just to do a technique and make something look a specific way. But thank you all for watching. Let me know if you have any other tutorials you want me to cover. Drop them in the comments below.